You know, still very young. His next one was, he was just shy of a year. The next one close to 2, and then this last one was really special because he was in school, and he was in a little preschool class. And you know, this is an interesting thing when you have a child with a condition that if you meet Max, when you meet Max, you don't know there's anything wrong with Max. And I say wrong, meaning you don't know that he has a condition. And so you don't know how much to share with new people. So you don't want them to, you know, I don't want him singled out and pushed to the back of the line or sit on the side. I don't want him handled with kid gloves because our cardiologist was very firm. You go home and raise him like a normal kid. If a lead breaks, we'll fix it. But I don't want him not to wrestle with his brother. I want him to wrestle with his brother, and then we'll deal with what might happen. So we weren't, the last one, his whole school, they made a big banner for him. That was a big welcome home banner. They sent us off with gifts, and that was really overwhelming to me because this has been a very private journey to that point. It had been our core. He didn't really have his own little network of buddies because we'd been basically quarantined for 2 years. So it was very special, this last one. He was more aware of what was happening. I tried to tell him there's a magic zipper that's going to undo the scar, and then he just looked at me and he just said, "Mom, actually, he told the surgeon, he said, my mom says there's a magic zipper. I know that's not true. How much is this going to hurt me?" And then the doctor said, well, he said, it's not going to hurt too much because I'm going to give you medicine. And then maybe, you know, if it starts to hurt a little bit, I'll send your mom home with some medicine so it's not going to hurt. Each child's going to be different. Max is just not one that you can like give the story to and, you know, pretend that the fairy flows in and changes it and it doesn't hurt. He just wants to know. And it was a very honest question. So each pacemaker had a different experience to it, but now that Max is getting older, it's becoming more about Max and managing him through this. There was also an interesting twist in the last one. Families, this is a whole family. You know, the child gets a pacemaker, but it affects a whole family. And his brother is 15 months younger, Ellison, and just kind of like, okay, we had people at the hospital to help with Ellison, and as soon as we got to go to recovery, we just ran up and we came down, and once we were able to go home, we were in the car and Ellison said, "I'm really angry with you." And we said, "Why are you angry with us?" And he says, "Because I'm scared too, and you didn't let me see Max to make sure he's okay." And I thought that was pretty brilliant for a 3-year-old to be able to verbalize, this isn't fair. This is a team thing. I don't just get left behind. And so we've learned for the next one that, you know, he'll at least get to go up, say a quick high in recovery, and then go back down. But it does affect the whole family differently, even though the main person to manage through this is now clearly Max because he has to go through the surgeries associated with it. Recovery, as far as what it's like compared to heart surgery, is much easier. So it didn't, you know, on its own, it's a lot. But when he gets home, it's about 2 weeks where we have to be fragile and a little careful, and he's sore. And, you know, you're managing a wound and that sort of thing. But it's about 2 weeks, and they're right back at what they're doing. I think the beautiful thing for us is it's an outpatient procedure, which seems crazy, but it is. And they hand him back to you, and you get to go home, and it's he gets to be in his own bed, and he gets to have his blankets and his, you know, his ginger ale and the attention and you know, there's a way that we healed through the last surgery as well, and we learned how to play Wii together. So we learned how to play a certain game, and it took us hours and hours and hours, but that was a great way for Max to stay still, because it's hard enough for kids to stay still, especially little boys, and he's had to learn how to do that. But I think it's, you know, served him well in what all the other things he's gone on to do. The way that I would say to manage it coming out of pacemaker surgery is, at this point, it won't most likely be the first thing that you've done, and you've established a routine. If it is the first thing that you're ever going to do, if it's the first surgery that they require, establish a routine. Make sure everyone has something comfort. Maybe it's a teddy bear. You go build a bear together. Maybe it's a blanket or something that they can wake up to, that they can go into surgery with, and then they come out of surgery with. And then just be there for your child. Be their advocate. Be their voice. Be at the bedside. And then set home up so that it's a fun place to go back to recover, because it does take a little while. It takes a week or two that you have to stay quiet and stay home, and just make that as much fun as you can be, and read and soothing. We bought some books ahead. Max got to buy books he wanted to have, and he got to kind of set up his area how he wanted it, and I think that's the best you can do. It's just just help them be as comfortable as they can in all the stages. Well, the first surgery, I felt angry. I felt like Max wasn't getting the breaks that he deserved. I felt like we were trying to do everything right for him. And why were we the only one in the whole unit that needed a pacemaker? Why couldn't they refer me to another family of another child that had a pacemaker? How is that? And it just felt very unfair. And at this time, I had no perspective of what a gift it was going to be. The second surgery, I was still quite angry because it was supposed to last a lot longer than it did. And I thought, why isn't this lasting longer? And they're explaining scar tissue and all of this, a lot of things I don't understand. But now I think through the whole process you feel scared every time. Because every time they go to surgery, you have to sign, all the release forms, and the worst one is they just tell you, there's a chance he'll die. And they tell you that every time, and they need to verbalize it, I guess, by law. So they do, and that's really hard. Also, as Max gets older, my feelings seem like they have to get more suppressed. I seem to cry a lot more when he was younger because I didn't think he really noticed. And now that he's older, that's very frightening to not see your parents strong. So you have to find your strength, and then you have to find your ways to get it out. I think through a lot of this journey, you stay very numb, and it gets you at different moments. And 6 years out or 3 years past this last surgery, it's just such a different place, but I can still cry. And it's still right below the surface of your skin. It's the most terrifying place you'll ever be because you don't have any control over it. And yet you have to somehow make it an adventure, and you have to focus on your child. And by doing that, it helps me heal. And you just find your moments where you can try and release some of the anger and some of the sadness. I'm not upset with a pacemaker anymore. It doesn't make me angry. I'm grateful for it, but it does still come with a hard part of the journey, and that's the hospital and certainly surgeries.